Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the stars. The horizon's edge was far from Earth, exploring new parts of space that no human had ever seen before. Jake was 32 years old and had been a ship captain for 5 years. He loved his job, but sometimes the empty darkness of space felt lonely. "Captain, we're getting a strange signal," said Lieutenant Sam Parker from his station. Sam was Jake's best friend and trusted officer. He had been working with Jake for 3 years. "What kind of signal?" Jake asked, walking over to look at Sam's screen. "It's a distress call, but not from any human ship. The language is completely unknown. Dr. Chang is trying to figure it out now." Dr. Lisa Chang was the ship's expert on alien life and languages. She was only 28, but was one of the smartest people Jake had ever met. She could learn new languages faster than anyone. "Captain," Lisa called from her station. "The signal is definitely a call for help. Someone is in serious trouble. The signal is coming from a system about 2 hours away at full speed." Jake thought for a moment. His orders were to explore and map new areas of space. But he couldn't ignore someone who needed help. That wasn't the human way. "Sam, set course for that system, maximum speed," Jake ordered. "Yes, sir," Sam replied, his fingers flying over the controls. The horizon's edge turned toward the unknown system. Jake felt excited and nervous. This could be humanity's first real contact with aliens. He hoped they would be friendly. 2 hours later, they arrived at a solar system with a dying red star. What they saw amazed them all. Hundreds of massive ships were fighting in space near the star. The ships were beautiful but strange, with curved lines and glowing parts that pulsed like heartbeats. "My God," whispered Maya Rodriguez, the chief engineer. Maya was 35 and had served on ships her whole adult life. She had never seen anything like this. The beautiful ships were being attacked by dark, ugly vessels that looked like giant insects. Laser beams and energy weapons lit up the space between them. Several of the beautiful ships were already destroyed, floating in pieces. "The pretty ships are losing," Sam reported. "They're outnumbered 3-1. Jake watched the battle and made a quick decision. The beautiful ships had sent the distress call. They needed help, and humans didn't abandon people in trouble. "All weapons online," Jake commanded. "Target the attacking ships. We're going to help." "Captain, we don't know anything about this fight," Lisa warned. "What if we're helping the wrong side?" "The ones being attacked sent the distress call," Jake said firmly. "That's enough for me." The horizon's edge dove into the battle. Their weapons were smaller than the alien ships, but they were fast and hard to hit. Jake used tactics he had learned in the Earth military. Instead of fighting head-on like the aliens, he attacked from unexpected angles. The human ships struck like lightning. They hit the insect ships from behind and from the sides. The ugly attackers had never fought anyone who moved like humans. They were confused and started making mistakes. One by one, the attacking ships began to retreat. The beautiful alien vessels seemed surprised by the help, but fought harder when they saw they weren't alone. After an hour of fighting, the last of the insect ships jumped away to another part of space. The battle was over and the beautiful ships had won. Jake was breathing hard. His heart was beating fast from the excitement of the fight. Around him, his crew was celebrating. "Incoming message from the largest alien ship," Sam announced. On the main screen appeared a face unlike anything they had ever seen. The alien looked like a woman, but was tall and elegant in a way that seemed almost magical. Her skin was pale blue with silver markings. Her eyes were large and purple, and they seemed very old and wise. When she spoke, her voice was musical and beautiful. Lisa worked quickly on her translation computer. After a few minutes, she looked up with excitement. "I think I can understand some of it, Captain. She's thanking us for helping. She wants to meet us." Jake felt nervous but excited. This was the moment that would change human history forever. "Tell her we would be honored to meet," Jake said. An hour later, Jake, Lisa, Sam, and Maya rode a small shuttle to the alien flagship. The ship was enormous, bigger than any human city. As they flew closer, they could see it was covered in beautiful designs and glowing symbols. Inside, the ship was even more amazing. The walls seemed to be made of crystal and metal mixed together. Soft lights moved through everything like flowing water. The air smelled like flowers Jake had never smelled before. Tall, graceful aliens led them through long hallways to a great throne room. The room was so large that Jake couldn't see the ceiling. In the center, on a throne made of what looked like starlight, sat the alien queen. She was the most beautiful and terrifying person Jake had ever seen. She looked young and old at the same time. Her clothes seemed to be made of liquid silver, and a crown of blue fire floated above her head. When she spoke, Lisa translated quickly. She says her name is Queen Zarathel. She rules something called the Velthari Empire. She wants to know why we helped them when we don't even know them. Jake stepped forward. He felt very small in the huge room, but he tried to stand tall and proud like a ship captain should. Tell her that humans help people in trouble. It doesn't matter if we know them or not. Lisa translated, and the queen's purple eyes grew wide with surprise. She asked another question. She asks what we want in return for our help, Lisa said. Nothing, Jake replied. We helped because it was right. When Lisa translated this, the queen stood up from her throne. She walked down the steps toward Jake, moving like she was floating. When she was close, Jake could see that her eyes looked very tired and very sad, even though she was trying to look strong. She spoke for a long time, and Lisa listened carefully before translating. Captain, she says, her empire is dying. She has ruled for over 300 years, but she has a problem that might destroy everything she has built. Jake felt his heart sink. These people had saved them from the attacking ships, but they were still in terrible danger. What kind of problem? He asked. The queen's answer, when it came through Lisa's translation, changed everything. She says that her people need their ruler to have a mate. Without a mate, she loses her connection to her people. She can't rule them anymore. But her mate died many years ago, and no one from her species can replace him. She's getting weaker every day. Soon her enemies will attack, and she won't be strong enough to stop them. Jake looked at this proud, lonely queen and felt something strange in his chest. She reminded him of himself in some ways. The weight of command, the responsibility for others, the loneliness of leadership. But her burden was 1,000,000 times heavier than his. How long does she have? Jake asked quietly. Lisa asked the question and waited for the answer. She says maybe weeks, maybe less. Jake couldn't stop thinking about Queen Zarathel's problem. For 3 days, the Horizon's Edge stayed with the alien fleet. Jake watched the queen try to lead her people, but he could see she was getting weaker. Dr. Lisa Chang spent all her time studying the Velthari people and their strange technology. She was excited about everything she learned, but also worried about the queen. Their whole empire depends on the queen having a special connection with her people, Lisa explained to Jake in his private office. It's like a psychic link. Without a mate, the link gets weaker and weaker. What happens if the link breaks completely? Jake asked. The empire falls apart. Different groups start fighting each other. It would be chaos. Jake rubbed his tired eyes. He hadn't slept much since meeting the queen. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her sad purple eyes and the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Isn't there anything we can do to help? He asked. Lisa shook her head. The queen has tried everything. For 50 years, she's been looking for a new mate. But the person has to be psychically compatible with her. None of her own people work. That afternoon, Jake was visiting the queen's ship again. He had been meeting with her every day, trying to learn more about her people and their problems. She had been teaching him about the Velthari Empire and its long history. They were walking through a garden room on her ship. The room was full of plants and flowers from her homeworld. Strange butterflies with glowing wings flew around them. Your people are very brave, the queen said through Lisa's translation. You fight for strangers without asking for anything. This is rare in the galaxy. We believe all good people deserve help, Jake replied. The queen stopped walking and looked at him with those ancient sad eyes. I wish there were more like you in the universe, Jake Morrison. As they talked, Jake accidentally bumped into a small tree with silver leaves. When his hand touched the tree, something amazing happened. The leaves began to glow bright blue, and a soft humming sound filled the air. The queen gasped and stepped back. She said something quickly in her own language. What did she say? Jake asked Lisa, who was staring at the glowing tree in shock. She said, That's impossible. Only the royal family can make the sacred trees respond. Lisa translated, her voice full of wonder. Jake pulled his hand away from the tree, and the glowing stopped. What does that mean? The queen was looking at Jake with new eyes now. She spoke rapidly to Lisa. She says the sacred trees only respond to people who have the right kind of mind for psychic bonding. In 300 years, only 3 people have ever made them glow. All 3 became royal mates. Jake felt his heart start beating faster. Are you saying... She wants to run some tests, Lisa said. She thinks you might be compatible with her royal psychic frequency. Over the next 2 days, Dr. Chang worked with the Queen's scientists to test Jake's mind. They used strange machines that looked like crystal sculptures and devices that hummed with energy. Sam and Maya were worried about their captain. What if these tests hurt you? Sam asked. We don't know anything about this alien science. I have to try, Jake said. If there's even a small chance I can help save their empire, I have to take it. The tests were strange but not painful. Jake had to touch different alien artifacts while machines measured his brainwaves. He had to meditate while crystals glowed around him. He had to hold hands with the Queen while computers analyzed their combined psychic energy. During one test, Jake and the Queen had to sit very still while a machine that looked like a golden spider scanned their minds. As the scan went on, Jake began to feel something strange. He could sense the Queen's thoughts at the edge of his mind. He felt her loneliness, her fear for her people, and her desperate hope that maybe, somehow, this strange human could save everything she loved. When the test was over, the Queen's head scientist, an old alien with white markings on his face, spoke for a long time with excitement. Lisa translated, and her face grew pale with shock. Captain, the results are incredible. Your mind is not just compatible with the Queen's psychic frequency, you're more compatible than any Velthari mate in their recorded history. Jake felt dizzy. This was all happening so fast. 3 weeks ago, he was just exploring space. Now he might become the mate of an alien queen. But not everyone was happy about the news. High Chancellor Keithvar, the Queen's main advisor, was angry about the humans staying with the fleet. He was a tall, thin alien with red markings that seemed to glow when he was upset. He doesn't trust us, Lisa explained after another meeting. He thinks we're trying to take over their empire. He's been telling the Queen that humans can't be trusted. Jake could see that the Chancellor was causing problems. Whenever Jake visited the Queen, Keithvar was there, watching with suspicious eyes. He whispered to other aliens and pointed at the humans. Some of the Velthari soldiers were starting to look at Jake and his crew with unfriendly faces. I think the Chancellor wants the Queen to fail, Sam said one evening. He's been acting like he's already in charge of the Empire. Things got worse. When Commander Yelena, the Queen's military leader, brought terrible news. She was a strong-looking alien with golden markings and scars from many battles. Prince Drachmon's invasion fleet has been spotted, Lisa translated after the meeting. He has over 1,000 ships. They'll be here in less than a week. Jake had heard about Prince Drachmon. He was the leader of a rival alien clan that wanted to take over the Velthari Empire. He was cruel and powerful, and his armies had conquered many worlds. The Queen can't fight him in her current state, Lisa explained. Without the royal bond, she doesn't have enough psychic power to command her fleets properly. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He walked the halls of his ship, thinking about everything that had happened. The fate of an entire alien empire might depend on him. Billions of people might live or die based on what he decided to do. He found himself in the observation deck, looking out at the Velthari fleet. The alien ships were beautiful in the starlight, but he could see they were preparing for a desperate battle. Can't sleep either? Jake turned and saw Dr. Chang entering the room. She looked as tired as he felt. I keep thinking about the Queen, Jake said. She's been carrying this burden alone for so long. The tests show that bonding with her could be dangerous for you, Lisa said quietly. We don't know what joining minds with an alien might do to your brain. You could die. Or worse, you could lose your humanity. Jake nodded. He had thought about the risks. But if I don't try, her empire falls. Billions of people become slaves under Prince Drachmon. That's not acceptable. You care about her, don't you? Lisa asked gently. Jake was quiet for a long moment. She reminds me of what it means to be a leader. She's willing to sacrifice everything for her people. How can I do less? The next morning, Jake made his decision. He met with the Queen in her private chambers. The room was smaller than the throne room, but just as beautiful. Soft lights moved across the walls like slow lightning. The Queen looked tired. The psychic connection with her people was getting weaker every day, and it was draining her strength. I want to try the bonding ritual, Jake said through Lisa's translation. The Queen's purple eyes grew wide. It could kill you, she said. I couldn't live with myself if I destroyed the first human I've ever met. If we don't try, Prince Drachmon destroys your empire anyway, Jake replied. At least this way, we have a chance. The Queen was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. She says the ritual must be performed soon, Lisa translated. Prince Drachmon's fleet will arrive in 4 days. If we're going to do this, it has to be tomorrow. Jake felt fear and excitement fighting in his chest. Tomorrow he would either save an alien empire or die trying. Tell her I'm ready, he said. But as they made plans for the ritual, High Chancellor Kethvar was making plans of his own. He had been meeting secretly with other aliens who didn't want a human to become their queen's mate. The Queen has gone mad, he told his followers. She's willing to pollute our royal bloodline with alien genetics. We must stop her before she destroys everything our ancestors built. The Chancellor was planning a coup. He would arrest the Queen and the humans during the bonding ceremony. Then he would take control of the empire himself and surrender to Prince Drachmon in exchange for being allowed to rule as a puppet. But Commander Yelena was loyal to the Queen. She had spies everywhere, and she learned about the Chancellor's plot. The stage was set for a battle that would determine the fate of an empire. Jake Morrison, a simple human ship captain, was about to become the most important person in Velthari history. The morning of the bonding ritual, Jake woke up feeling nervous. His hands were shaking as he got dressed in the special white robes the Queen had given him. The robes were made of a material that felt like silk, but glowed softly in the light. Sam and Maya came to see him before the ceremony. Are you sure about this, Captain? Maya asked. Her eyes were full of worry. We still don't know what this bonding thing will do to you. The Queen's scientists say the process could change your brain forever, Sam added. You might not be the same person when it's over. Jake looked at his 2 best friends. They had been through many dangers together, but this was different. This time, Jake was walking into the unknown alone. I have to try, he said. If I don't, millions of people will suffer under Prince Drachmon's rule. The Queen's people have been free for thousands of years. I can't let that end on my watch. Dr. Lisa Chang arrived with her translation equipment and medical scanners. She would monitor Jake's vital signs during the ceremony. The ritual will take place in the Queen's sacred chamber, Lisa explained. It's at the heart of her ship, in a room that's been used for royal bondings for centuries. The Queen's mystics will guide the process. They traveled to the Queen's flagship in a small shuttle. As they flew through the alien fleet, Jake could see the ships preparing for battle. Prince Drachmon's invasion fleet had been spotted on the edge of the system. They would arrive in less than 24 hours. Inside the Queen's ship, Commander Yelena met them with a squad of loyal guards. She was wearing full battle armor and carried energy weapons. She says there may be trouble during the ceremony, Lisa translated. High Chancellor Kethvar has been acting suspicious. She thinks he might try to stop the ritual. Jake felt his stomach tighten with worry. Can she protect us? She says she'll try, but some of the ship's crew might be loyal to the Chancellor. She can't be sure who to trust. They walked through the ship's beautiful corridors toward the sacred chamber. Jake noticed that some of the alien crew members were watching them with unfriendly eyes. The tension in the ship was thick enough to cut with a knife. The sacred chamber was the most amazing room Jake had ever seen. The walls were made of crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing and moving like living things. In the center of the room was a circular platform surrounded by floating crystals. Queen Zarathel was waiting for them. She was dressed in robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Her crown floated above her head, spinning slowly and throwing rainbow colors on the walls. Around the chamber stood 5 old aliens wearing long robes. These were the Queen's mystics, the ones who would guide the bonding ritual. They had white markings that covered their entire faces, and their eyes glowed with inner light. "Are you ready, Jake Morrison?" the Queen asked through Lisa's translation. Jake's mouth was dry, but he nodded. "I'm ready." The Queen and Jake stepped onto the circular platform. The floating crystals began to spin around them, humming with energy. The mystics started chanting in the ancient Velthari language. "The ritual has 3 stages," Lisa explained, reading from notes the Queen's scientists had given her. "First, mental connection, then emotional bonding, finally psychic unity. Each stage is more dangerous than the last." As the chanting grew louder, Jake began to feel strange. The air around him seemed to shimmer and move. The Queen's eyes were glowing brighter, and he could feel something reaching out from her mind toward his. Suddenly, Jake's thoughts were filled with images that weren't his own. He saw the Queen as a young girl, learning to rule her people. He felt her joy when she first fell in love with her previous mate. He experienced her crushing grief when that mate died in battle. The first stage was working. Their minds were connecting. But just as the second stage was about to begin, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, and the sound of energy weapons echoed through the corridors. "The Chancellor is making his move," Commander Yelana shouted, drawing her weapon. "His soldiers are trying to take the bridge." Through the chamber's crystal walls, Jake could see armed aliens fighting in the hallways. Some wore the gold markings of the Queen's loyal guards. Others wore the red symbols of the Chancellor's supporters. "We have to continue the ritual," the Queen said urgently. "If we stop now, we may never get another chance." The mystics kept chanting, but their voices were shaking with fear. The floating crystals spun faster, and Jake felt the Queen's mind pressing closer to his. In the second stage, Jake experienced the Queen's emotions as if they were his own. He felt her love for her people, her determination to protect them, and her terrible loneliness. She had been alone at the top for so long, carrying the weight of an empire by herself. In return, the Queen felt Jake's emotions. She experienced his loyalty to his crew, his sense of duty, and his explorer's spirit that drove him to help others even when it was dangerous. She felt his human compassion and his refusal to give up even when things looked impossible. The chamber shook as explosions rocked the ship. Through the chaos, Jake heard Sam's voice over his communicator. "Captain, we're under attack. The Chancellor's people are trying to break into the sacred chamber. Maya and I are helping the Queen's guards hold them off, but we can't last much longer." Jake wanted to help his friends, but he was trapped in the bonding process. The third stage was beginning, and he could feel his consciousness merging with the Queen's. Suddenly, everything changed. Jake's mind exploded with new sensations. He could feel the minds of every Velthari person in the fleet. Thousands of thoughts and emotions flooded into his brain at once. The psychic connection that had been broken when the Queen's mate died was coming back to life. But it was too much for a human brain to handle. Jake screamed and collapsed to his knees. Blood ran from his nose and his vision went dark. "Jake," the Queen cried out, catching him as he fell. The mystics were shouting in alarm. The bonding process was killing him. At that moment, the doors to the chamber exploded inward. High Chancellor Kethvar burst in with a squad of armed soldiers. His red markings were glowing with anger. "Stop this madness," he shouted in the Velthari language. "You're destroying our bloodline with this alien contamination." Commander Yelana and her guards fought desperately to protect the Queen, but they were outnumbered. Energy weapons fired back and forth across the sacred chamber, sending crystal fragments flying through the air. Jake was barely conscious, but he could still feel the Queen's mind connected to his. He sensed her desperation and her love for her people. She was willing to die to complete the bonding, even if it meant losing him in the process. "No," Jake whispered, forcing himself to stand up despite the agony in his head. I won't let you sacrifice yourself. Drawing on every bit of strength he had left, Jake opened his mind completely to the psychic connection. Instead of trying to control the flood of alien thoughts and emotions, he let them flow through him. He became a channel for the Queen's power, amplifying it with his own human will and determination. The effect was immediate and incredible. Queen Zarathel's eyes blazed with silver fire. Her crown spun faster and waves of psychic energy poured out from her. The energy hit Chancellor Kethvar and his soldiers like a physical blow, sending them flying backward. I am your queen. Zarathel's voice echoed through the ship and across the entire fleet. Every Velthari person heard her words directly in their minds. I have chosen my mate and our bond is complete. Any who oppose me oppose the Empire itself. The psychic blast was so powerful that rebels throughout the fleet stopped fighting and fell to their knees. The connection between the Queen and her people was stronger than it had ever been, powered by the combination of her ancient wisdom and Jake's human spirit. Chancellor Kethvar struggled to his feet, his face twisted with rage. This is not over, he snarled. Prince Drachmon's fleet will arrive soon. Your alien mate won't save you from his armies. But as he spoke, the chamber filled with Commander Yelana's loyal guards. The coup had failed. The rebels surrendered, and Kethvar was placed under arrest. Jake collapsed again, but this time it was from exhaustion, not pain. The bonding was complete. He could feel the Queen's mind linked to his, and through her, he could sense the thoughts and feelings of the entire Velthari fleet. How do you feel? Queen Zarathel asked, kneeling beside him. Jake looked up at her. She seemed different now, more powerful, more alive. The sadness in her eyes had been replaced by hope and determination. I feel like I'm connected to something much bigger than myself, he said. Is this what you've been missing all these years? She nodded. The loneliness is gone. For the first time in 50 years, I don't feel alone. Dr. Lisa Chang was scanning Jake with her medical equipment. His brain patterns have changed completely, she reported. But all his vital signs are stable. I think the bonding worked. Sam and Maya rushed into the chamber, their uniforms torn and dirty from the fighting. Captain, are you all right? Sam asked. I'm fine, Jake said, though he felt very different. He could sense Sam's worry and Maya's relief without them saying a word. His psychic abilities were much stronger now. The coup is over, Commander Yelana reported. All the rebels have surrendered. The fleet is united again. But their celebration was short-lived. A junior officer ran into the Prince Drachmon's invasion fleet was massive. Jake stood on the bridge of the Queen's flagship, looking at the enemy ships through the main viewing screen. There were over 1,000 dark vessels, each one bristling with weapons. They looked like giant metal spiders crawling through space. He has twice as many ships as we do, Commander Yelana reported. Her golden markings were dim with worry. Jake could feel the fear of the Velthari fleet through his new psychic connection with Queen Zarathel. But he also felt their determination to fight for their freedom. Numbers aren't everything, Jake said. We have something he doesn't. What's that? The Queen asked. Jake smiled. We have humans. Over the past week, Jake had been working with his crew to combine human military tactics with Velthari technology. The results were amazing. Dr. Lisa Chang had learned to communicate with the alien computers using human programming methods. Chief Engineer Maya Rodriguez was modifying Velthari weapons to work faster and hit harder. Most importantly, Lieutenant Sam Parker was training mixed crews of humans and Velthari to work together on the same ships. The aliens were learning human flexibility and creativity. The humans were learning to use Velthari psychic coordination. Prince Drachmon fights the old way, Jake explained to the Queen and her commanders. He uses massive fleets in straight battle lines. He expects us to do the same thing. But humans don't fight fair. The Queen's purple eyes sparkled with interest. Show me. Jake called up a battle plan on the main screen. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, the Velthari fleet would split into small groups. Each group would attack from a different direction, using hit-and-run tactics that would confuse the enemy. The Horizon's Edge will lead the main strike force, Jake continued. Maya has been working with your engineers to upgrade our weapons. We may be smaller than Drachmon's ships, but we'll be much faster. Commander Yelana studied the plan. This is very different from traditional Velthari warfare. Our ancestors have fought in formation for thousands of years. Sometimes old ways don't work against new problems, the Queen said. She had been learning human military history from Jake's memories through their psychic bond. I think we should try this human approach. Prince Drachmon sent a message demanding surrender. His image appeared on the main screen. A huge, scarred alien with black markings that seemed to absorb light. His eyes were cold and cruel. Zarathel, he said in the Velthari language, I offer you one last chance. Surrender now, and I will allow you to live as my servant. Refuse, and I will destroy every ship in your fleet. The Queen stood tall and proud as she answered, I am Queen Zarathel of the Velthari Empire. I have taken a new mate, and our people are united. We will never bow to a tyrant like you. Drachmon's face twisted with rage when he saw Jake standing beside the Queen. You have contaminated your bloodline with an alien. This is an insult to our entire species. I will enjoy killing your human pets slowly. You're welcome to try, Jake said calmly. The prince laughed coldly. I have conquered 12 worlds, human. Your little tricks won't save you. The transmission ended, and both fleets began moving toward each other. All ships, this is your queen, Zarathel broadcast to the entire fleet. Through the psychic connection, every Velthari person could feel her confidence and determination. Today we fight not just for our empire, but for our freedom to choose our own destiny. Victory or death. The battle began with Prince Drachmon doing exactly what Jake had predicted. The enemy fleet formed up in a massive wall of ships and charged straight at the Velthari forces. But the Queen's fleet scattered like leaves in the wind. Small groups of ships flew in different directions, making it impossible for the enemy to target them all at once. Jake commanded the battle from the bridge of the horizon's edge, which had been upgraded with Velthari weapons and shields. Sam Parker was at the weapons console, and Maya Rodriguez was managing the engines and defensive systems. Strike Group Alpha hit them from above, Jake ordered through the psychic battle network. Strike Group Beta, come in from below. Make them think we're everywhere at once. The human ship dove through space like a hawk hunting prey. They struck at the enemy's weakest ships first, destroying several before the larger vessels could turn to fight back. Prince Drachmon's forces were confused. They had never fought an enemy that refused to stand still and fight fairly. Every time they turned to face one group of attackers, another group hit them from behind. Enemy command ship is changing course, Sam reported. Looks like Drachmon is getting frustrated. Through the psychic link, Jake could feel the Queen's amusement. She was enjoying watching their enemies' careful plans fall apart. But the battle wasn't going to be easy. Prince Drachmon had brought his most powerful ships and his most experienced commanders. As the fighting continued, Jake began to see the true challenge they faced. The enemy adapted quickly to human tactics. They started splitting their own fleet into smaller groups and using their superior numbers to surround individual Velthari ships. We're losing ships faster than we can replace them, Commander Yelana reported grimly. At this rate, we'll be overwhelmed in a few hours. Jake felt the fear rippling through the fleet. Some of the Velthari commanders were starting to panic as they watched their ships being destroyed. We need to change the game again, Jake said to the Queen. It's time for something really unexpected. What do you have in mind? She asked. Jake smiled. Maya, how are those engine modifications coming along? Ready when you are, Captain, Maya replied with a grin. She had been working on a secret project with the Velthari engineers. All ships prepare for Operation Lightning Strike, Jake commanded. What happened next had never been seen in space warfare before. The entire Velthari fleet suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds. Maya's modifications allowed the ships to move faster than any vessel in the galaxy. The fleet streaked through space like comets, leaving trails of blue fire behind them. They were moving so fast that Prince Drachmon's ships couldn't track them, or hit them with weapons. In less than 10 minutes, the Velthari fleet had repositioned itself behind the enemy formation. Before the enemy could react, they unleashed a devastating attack on Drakmon's command ships. Impossible, Prince Drakmon roared over the communications channel. No ship can move that fast. Human engineering, Jake replied smugly. We're full of surprises. But their advantage didn't last long. Prince Drakmon was a veteran of many wars. He quickly adapted his strategy again, using his superior firepower to force the Velthari ships into a defensive position. The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Energy beams crisscrossed space like deadly lightning. The asteroid belt around the system's dying star became a graveyard of twisted metal. Jake was exhausted from coordinating the battle through his psychic link with the Queen. His human brain wasn't used to processing so much information at once, but he could feel the Queen's strength supporting him, just as his determination was supporting her. Captain, we're getting reports of massive enemy reinforcements, Sam said urgently. Another 500 ships just jumped into the system. Jake's heart sank. They had been fighting brilliantly, but they were still outnumbered. These new enemy ships would tip the balance completely in Prince Drakmon's favor. But then Dr. Lisa Chang made an announcement that changed everything. Captain, I'm detecting something strange about those new ships. They're not moving to attack us, they're just floating there. Jake studied the sensor readings. Lisa was right. The new ships weren't joining the battle. They seemed to be waiting for something. Through the psychic network, Jake felt a familiar presence. Commander Yelena was broadcasting a message from one of the outer system patrol ships. Your Majesty, she said excitedly. The new ships aren't enemies. They're reinforcements from the outer colonies. Word of your bonding with the human has spread throughout the Empire. Commanders who have been neutral in this conflict are declaring their loyalty to you. Queen Zarathel's joy flooded through the psychic link. The Empire is truly united again, she said. Jake Morrison, your courage has inspired our people across the galaxy. With fresh ships joining the battle, the tide turned quickly. Prince Drakmon's forces found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. Many of his ships began surrendering rather than face destruction, but the prince himself wasn't finished. His massive command ship, a vessel the size of a small moon, began moving toward the Queen's flagship. If I cannot rule the Empire, then I will destroy it, Drakmon broadcast. Beginning with its alien-loving queen. Jake realized that the final confrontation was about to begin. Prince Drakmon was coming for a personal duel, and this time, all the clever tactics in the galaxy wouldn't be enough. They would have to face him directly, and only one of them would survive. Prince Drakmon's command ship was a monster. It was 10 times larger than the Queen's flagship, covered in weapons and thick armor. As it approached, Jake could see smaller ships flying around it like angry insects. He's heading straight for us, Sam reported from his station. All weapons are targeting our ship specifically. Through the psychic link, Jake felt Queen Zarathel's determination. She wasn't afraid of Drakmon, even though his ship could destroy theirs with a single blast. He wants a final duel, she explained to Jake. In the old days when two rulers fought for an empire, they would meet in single combat. The winner would rule and the loser would die. That's not going to happen, Jake said firmly. We're not going to risk your life on some ancient tradition. But the Queen shook her head. If I don't face him, he'll never stop hunting us. He'll spend the rest of his life trying to destroy our empire. This has to end here and now. Maya Rodriguez was studying the enemy ship's design on her engineering screens. Captain, that thing has more firepower than our entire fleet combined. We can't fight it in a normal battle. Then we won't fight it normally, Jake said. An idea was forming in his mind, but it was dangerous and crazy. Maya, can you overload our engines to give us one burst of extreme speed? Sure, but it'll burn out all our systems. We'd only get one chance and then we'd be powerless. One chance is all we need, Jake said. He turned to the Queen. Do you trust me? Her purple eyes met his, and he felt her absolute confidence through their psychic bond. With my life. Jake's plan was simple but risky. Instead of running from Drakmon's massive ship, they would fly directly at it at maximum speed. At the last moment, they would use Maya's engine modifications to accelerate beyond anything the enemy could track. They would ram straight through the command ship's bridge where Prince Dracmon was waiting. "That's suicide," Sam said when Jake explained the plan. "Maybe," Jake admitted. "But it's the only way to end this war quickly. If we can take out Dracmon, his followers will surrender." Dr. Lisa Chang was monitoring the enemy ship with her sensors. "Jake, I'm detecting massive psychic energy from their command center. Dracmon is using some kind of ancient weapon. It's designed to attack minds directly." Jake felt a chill run through him. If the prince could attack their psychic bond, he might be able to sever the connection between Jake and the Queen. Without that bond, the Empire would fall apart again. "We have to stop him before he can use that weapon," the Queen said urgently. "All crew members, prepare for ramming speed," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "This is going to be rough." The Queen's flagship turned toward the massive enemy vessel and began accelerating. Prince Dracmon's other ships tried to stop them, but Commander Yelana's fleet kept the smaller vessels busy while Jake made his attack run. As they got closer to the enemy command ship, Jake could see Prince Dracmon standing on his bridge through the transparent walls. The alien prince was even larger than he had appeared on the communication screen. He was wearing armor that seemed to be made of black metal, and his eyes glowed with hatred. "Zarathel," Dracmon's voice boomed across the communication channels. "Face me like a true ruler. Stop hiding behind your human pet." The psychic weapon activated. Jake screamed as waves of mental energy crashed into his mind. The weapon was designed to break psychic bonds, and it felt like someone was tearing his thoughts apart with burning claws. But the Queen was ready for the attack. She poured her own psychic energy into their bond, strengthening it against Dracmon's assault. Together they were stronger than either of them could be alone. "Now, Maya!" Jake shouted. The ship's engines exploded with power. They accelerated, so fast that the stars became streaks of light around them. Prince Dracmon's weapons couldn't track them at this impossible speed. At the last second before impact, Jake made a final decision. Instead of trying to ram the enemy bridge, he ordered Maya to cut the engines and fire all weapons at a single point on the command ship's hull. The concentrated firepower punched through the enemy ship's armor like a bullet through paper. The Queen's flagship flew through the hole into the heart of Dracmon's vessel. They found themselves in a massive chamber filled with ancient war machines and psychic amplifiers. At the center of the room, Prince Dracmon waited for them, surrounded by his personal guards. "So, the alien lover comes to face me at last," Dracmon snarled. "I will enjoy killing you both slowly." But Jake had one more surprise. As they landed in the enemy ship, he sent a signal to the rest of his crew. Sam, Maya, and Lisa had been waiting in the horizon's edge, which had been hidden inside the Queen's flagship. The human ship burst out of its hiding place and landed beside them. Jake's crew emerged with weapons ready, alongside Commander Yelana and a squad of the Queen's best warriors. The final battle was unlike anything in Velthari history. It combined ancient psychic combat with human military tactics. Prince Dracmon was incredibly strong and skilled, but he had never fought opponents who used teamwork and creativity instead of just raw power. Sam and Maya worked together to disable the psychic weapon, while Lisa used her knowledge of alien technology to turn Dracmon's own machines against him. Commander Yelana and her warriors fought the prince's guards. In the center of the battle, Jake and Queen Zarathel faced Prince Dracmon together. The alien prince was powerful, but their psychic bond made them impossible to defeat. Every time he attacked one of them, the other was ready to counter. "This is impossible," Dracmon roared. "No alien should be able to bond with our royal bloodline." "That's where you're wrong," Jake replied. "Strength doesn't come from pure blood. It comes from working together, from caring about something bigger than yourself." The final moment came when Prince Dracmon tried to use all his psychic power in one devastating attack. But instead of defending, Jake and the Queen did something unexpected. They opened their bond completely, not just to each other but to every person in both fleets. For a brief moment, humans and Velthari shared the same thoughts and feelings. They experienced each other's hopes, dreams, and determination to build a better future together. The combined psychic energy was more than Prince Dracomon could handle. His own power turned back on him, and he collapsed, defeated but not dead. "It's over," Queen Zarathel announced. Her voice carried through both fleets, human and Velthari alike. "Prince Dracmon is defeated. The Empire is safe." The war ended not with destruction, but with understanding. Many of Dracmon's followers, feeling the psychic connection between species, chose to surrender and join the United Empire, rather than continue fighting. 3 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of a new kind of ship. It was designed by both human and Velthari engineers, combining the best of both technologies. The vessel was twice as fast as any ship that had existed before, and it was equipped for long-range exploration of unknown space. Queen Zarathel joined him at the viewing window. She was no longer just the ruler of the Velthari Empire. She had become the leader of the first true alliance between humans and aliens in the galaxy. "The scouts report signals from 3 new civilizations in the outer systems," she told Jake. "Some seem friendly, others may be hostile." Jake smiled. "Then we'll try to make friends with the friendly ones and defend ourselves against the hostile ones, together." Behind them on the bridge, humans and Velthari worked side by side. Dr. Lisa Chang was teaching alien scientists about human biology while learning about their advanced medicine. Sam Parker was training mixed crews in combined combat techniques. Maya Rodriguez was working with Velthari engineers to design even better ships. Commander Yelana had become the head of the new combined military forces. She wore a uniform that combined human and Velthari designs, and her golden markings had been joined by small blue symbols that showed her friendship with humanity. "What do you think we'll find out there?" the Queen asked, looking at the stars. "I don't know," Jake admitted. "But whatever it is, we'll face it together. Humans and Velthari as partners and friends." Through their psychic bond, he felt her happiness and her excitement about the future. The loneliness that had nearly destroyed her empire was gone forever. In its place was hope and the promise of adventures among the stars. As their new ship jumped to light speed toward unknown worlds, Jake realized that his life as a simple exploration captain was over. He was now the mate of an alien queen and co-leader of an interstellar alliance. But in some ways, nothing had changed. He was still an explorer, still someone who helped others when they were in trouble. The only difference was that now his crew included beings from other worlds, and his mission was to explore not just space, but the infinite possibilities that came from different species working together. The Queen took his hand as they watched the stars stream past. Through their bond, Jake felt the presence of millions of beings, human and alien, all connected by their shared hope for the future. It was the beginning of a new age in the galaxy, and Jake Morrison, the human ship captain who had saved an alien empire, was ready for whatever adventures lay ahead.